Okay, today we're looking at how to set the regulator pressure on a HW100. These are quite well known for going over the 12 foot-pounds limit, so setting the regulator is a good way to ensure that you get good shot efficiency, so you're not adjusting it on the hammer, which we looked at on other videos. This first video is going to look at actually how to get the thing apart, and can I just say, if you don't have to do this, for God's sake don't, because it is a nightmare. Right, okay, pretend the gun's in one piece. First thing, obviously you take your air cylinder away, unscrew the air cylinder out. You then undo the little screw here to remove the barrel. I've pre-loosened absolutely everything because this is a terrible job to do. Right, so barrel out. You're then left with the main hammer and block. You must not cock the action, but you must take the lever back to take the pressure off, and then you undo these two bolts right here. That then separates and you are left with the valve, the regulator and the rest of it there, and then you've got the hammer assembly elsewhere. Right, probably thinking that's fairly easy from now. No, it isn't. You know, it should be. That there screws straight into that little port down there, and all that's in that port is a grub screw and a ball. The problem is getting the ball out. To get the ball out, what you've got to do, unfortunately, is break into the entire regulator, which runs through down from here. So you've actually got to get right in. Now, so what you've got to do is, and you're going to need, you take the valve block out, which is here. Now, if you haven't got a new O-ring for this, you won't be able to put it back together, because when they're first installed, they put a funky O-ring in these, and it gets crushed when you when it's put in, so it's like a use-only O-ring. So that comes out. Normally, that lot would all be behind there and it'd be pushed out with spring pressure. I've just done this so you can see, and I can do it quickly, and I'm not boring the hell out of you. This O-ring here, it's something like a 12 by 1.5 when they put it in. If you put a 12 by 1 in, it's reusable. Anyway, so your valve block comes out. There will be this, there will be the valve in behind it. I've just removed it so it's easy and it's quick. Next thing, slacken off your regulator and take that out, like so. Put that away. Get something, push it down through the stack of washers, which are the regulator. I used that. You can tell if they're right, by the way. See how they make 3 sets like that? They go convex out, convex out, convex in, convex in. So they just sort of, basically it's double cup on each other each way. Put that in, turn it upside down to pour the washers out to keep them the same way, and then set them to one side. You've then got that lot in there. Next thing to do, turn it over, get yourself a 10mm long deep drive socket, down on that, and it's quite easy to get out, just undo, and you will find that this then comes out, and you are left with this. And by the way, the principle of this, it's not, don't worry about how far down here it goes. The whole idea of this is that this bush just holds this brass piece down, so you just bottom it out and then do the brass up. Right, next thing is, in here, you've got the little regulator plunger. Pull that out, like that. That's that. Then you've got some form of, I don't know what you'd call it, the runner, which is this sort of tube in the middle here. That's got to come out, so I'll just push that out. It's a little bit tricky, and you've got to watch not to scratch in there as well, unfortunately. My favourite way is to just pull with a pair of pliers, just gently on each side to ease it out. There is an O-ring on it, so just ease that out like that. And there is also an O-ring facing these, so when you've taken this brass bit out, there is that O-ring as, oh sorry. When you're taking this brass bit out, there is that O-ring too. But don't worry, it's quite obvious how it goes back in. So that comes out like that. That's the, if you imagine that's that way, that goes in like that. Anyway, right, okay. Next thing is to actually get the ball out. Now the ball lives down in there, and trust me, even if you've taken it out a couple of times, the bloody thing still gets stuck. So look, if I had put that back in, there's no way of getting it back out. So, Allen key like that, slip it down and in, and just find the hole, and there you go, out. It comes out quite easily. There's actually a little meowed O-ring behind it, but don't worry about putting that back in because the ball will seat down and seal in there anyway. So there you go, you finally get that out. Then putting it all back together, it's the reverse. So a little bit of light oil, that goes in first. Drop that to the bottom, push it in gently until it goes down. There you go. The little plunger, don't know what it's for, but don't quite know how it works, but still, little plunger in, and then you can just get it into place and then push it in with a finger, like so. Then you put your O-ring in, like that, and it sits over the main silver piece. You see the main outer bore of that. So you don't need to worry too much about putting it into position because it's not really going to go anywhere. And if you're worried, you can push the bore back up a little bit, squeeze the O-ring over it. There we are. Yeah, as I say, this is not an easy job to do. It was. I thought when I got this regulator, I thought, yay, I'll just check it quickly and we're done. But just because all I'm looking to do is to check the pressure, because what I want is a decent shot count without mucking with the hammer pressure too much. Anyway, right, so that's sitting in place. Next thing, get this, roll it back down. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the brass back out a little bit. Hang on, I'm just going to check I haven't upset that O-ring. The brass back out, now the O-ring's in place. Take the brass back out and I'm going to run this right down until it gets to almost inside, like that. There we are. So basically you're bottoming that piece out. Then I'm going to nip this down, like that. There we are. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back that off a minute and I'm going to check I've got it tight by putting a little thin blade screwdriver in. Yeah, there we are. Turning that. Alright, so that goes in. Use a 10, not an 8. An 8 will, but it'll fit the top nut in there, so that's no good. And then just nip that like that. There you go. That's the basics of that back together. Then the rest, get your little stack of nuts, turn it upside down, put that right to the bottom, turn it upside down so they all drop in the right way, and don't turn upside down, nothing silly like that. There's all your regulator washers in. This one goes with the Allen slot at the top, obviously, back in like that. Don't worry about how far down you put that at the moment. That's there. Push that on the top. Then, in terms of your actual valve, my suggestion is that you put that into there first, like that, because it will grip it. Turn this upside down, like that. Give it a little wiggle, because you want, there you go, you want to actually make sure that spring sits in a cup at the bottom. If it's not sat in it, it just won't go down. And then you've got your 2 screws for gripping that. This is quite a palaver, guys, I'm afraid. Don't know what else one can say about this. With these, remember, this is light aluminium. If you nip these too hard, you will be destroying stuff. So I'm just going to nip that. You do want to, I mean, they need to be tight, but yeah. Please remember, when doing this, you always put this valve block in first before you do up your, you put your barrel back in. If you don't, it just will not. You'll mess everything up, because the barrel is forced against the back of this block with that little O-ring. So the little O-ring there is pushed back against that valve block. So that goes in like that, and that goes there. You're going to need your barrel for setting, so you might as well put it back in kind of now. Right, okay, that's the start of it. I'm going to show you in the next video, because I think it's a bit much for one video. Let's nip that there. I'm going to show you how to set it, and also guidelines in terms of what to set it to. There we are. Cheers for now.